how does someone, be comfortable enough to share who they really are, take off the mask and be like, hey, this is me, take it or leave it. This is my past. I can't change that. And kind of like raise up that self esteem.
A lot. I could speak on this for a
It's a loaded
while.
question.
Yeah. So, yeah, first of all, one of the things that you said was this is a self-esteem issue today on this campus. It's been a self-esteem issue for black men ever since we were brought over from Africa. How can you have self-esteem when you are trying to be the husband or the father of your children and you're sold? Or the white man can tell you to do anything because you're the slave. Because if not, there's repercussions to you or your loved ones. You can't have a self-estimation. First of all, let's define what self-esteem is. Self-esteem is two components, self-love and it's self-competency. One is being competent to life and the vicissitudes or the ups and downs of life itself. And the other is, am I lovable? Am I lovable? And so when we have a self-esteem issue and it's pertinent and I'm really speaking to the black men, where we can't get our self-esteem from inside, so we have a thing called pseudo self-esteem, where we define our self-esteem by how others look at us. Okay? So if my boys think I'm down because I do a drive-by or I get in a fight at the fraternity, or if I got 3 girls that I'm stringing along and they think that's cool, then my self-esteem, because I must be competent or I must be worthy because they think I am. Remember, you are who you hang out with.
Right.
Okay, so if you want to, there's a lot of things I can give you as suggestions on how to create and increase your self-esteem. The number one thing for self-esteem is you have to be grounded in truth. You have to identify what is truth. What's real? What is real? And to do that, a lot of times, again, you got to go back into your past and understand what is real and why are you looking at it this way, but it's not truth. It's not truth. And then the other thing is you got to understand, what is your why? Why do I need validation from outside sources? And I knew, and it took me a few years to understand this, but my validation is I didn't want to die alone. I did not want to die alone. I'd grown up in foster homes. I knew I wasn't wanted. I knew I had no worth. I was told that as a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old. And then I had to pick up the secret of being adopted. Because people would come up to my mom and oh, he looks just like you. And we would smile and nod our heads because they thought biologically this was my mother. That was a lie. It wasn't the truth. And so you struggle with living all these untruths, and we wonder why we have a problem with self-esteem, self-estimation of worth and love. Okay? And again, we'd have to do a whole another podcast on just
This
self-esteem.
could be many hours.
Because
yeah.
it's one of the most important. It is one of the main things that I teach a workshop on this. I've been working with young men on this. But the key thing is this. I worked on my self-esteem. I have high self-esteem. I am competent and I love me. I love me. I'm a good dude. We used to have a term on the street, you good people. That's what we would say, you good people. That was like the highest compliment we give. Man, you good people. Okay? I'm good people. I know that. You know that, Ermias. And you don't really know me, but you know that. Just from the experience you've had over the last month with me. But this is who I am. Who you see today, who you saw when we had lunch, who you saw at Brothers to Brothers, that's real. I don't fake the funk. I don't need to. I don't need it. That's the other thing. If you want high self-esteem, don't desire anything from others. Now, you may have a partner, and I'm big on partners, male, female, whatever it may be, your partner, but don't seek validation from external sources.
Yeah.
It's a relationship with self,
Right.
and it's a relationship with God. And so I always ask people this. There's 3 conversations that you can have. That's it. There's conversations with God if you so believe. We can call it prayer, meditation. Great. There's conversations with you, Ermias. That's external. And then there's a conversation that's internal, we call self-talk. And one of the things I ask people, what is the most important to you?
What is the most important? What?
Of the talks, of the
Of the
conversations
3.
that you have
Gotcha.
going on at all times. And if it's external, you might want to look at that. So the levels are really this. External has the least credence, or really the least truth, because it's their interpretation of you. Then there's self-talk. And then for those individuals that get to that point, the highest level of conversations and or motivations are based on God or whatever the spiritual entity that modifies behavior.
Gotcha.
That's my definition of God.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And
That-
I'm still, a lot of times what I tell people is 98% of the time it's self-talk.